Than me, and I'm proud to officially name the undisputed. When did this come out, Mr. Speaker? The undisputed champion of beautiful, clean coal. We have to proceed. Always, I don't use the word coal. You know, it needs a PR.
So
clean, beautiful coal.
Yeah, at least keep it the same. Why are you flipping it around? Beautiful, clean coal. It's very strange. We got used to the clean, beautiful coal. We have a whole soundbite for it. Damn it! But before I play that again, because I really want you to notice, if there's anything that we can be entertained by in this horrific moment that we're in, it's things like this, which is Trump trying to cover up, his brain issues and whenever he attempts to make it seem like he didn't actually glitch, it always is by calling someone else out. And I feel like there's a psychology to it. If you go, Speaker Johnson, you see, it's sort of you're redirecting attention away from the that he just did. Exactly. But what was this event? Let me play it again before I tell you if you didn't already pick up on it. Let me just slightly spoil it by saying that Trump, who is the leader of the movement that told us we have to get away from participation trophies, getting another participation trophy. So I'll give you more information on that in a second, but here, once again, is what we just watched.
Than me, and I'm proud to officially name the undisputed. When did this come out, Mr. Speaker?
Hey, you messed me up, Mr. Speaker. What? Hey. Welcome back, everybody. Producer Jaden, when do we start? We're starting? Okay, so we're starting. Welcome to the show, everybody. It's exactly what he does. Now, what does he mean by when did this come out? It was made up. He received the Undisputed Champion of Beautiful Clean Coal Award from coal lobbyists as he's trying to regressively reinvest and reinvigorate the coal industry.
We're doing coal.
Just the quickest pause to request that you click the subscribe button, the simplest, easiest, freest way, completely free, to support the work that we do. Right below the video, click that subscribe button, back to the video. Just so you know, the only reason that it's not the case that the only reason we've gotten away from coal as an energy source is because wokesters were too worried about the environment. Now, that's a factor, and that's important, and we should not want to inhale pollution, but it's because it's also ineffective with our modern energy sources. Much more efficient and effective, and yes, clean energy sources that he is shutting down and then trying to revamp coal plants, which makes no logical sense. It's just like he got in his head that that's, I don't know, some culture war or something. So you might think I'm kidding about this, but this is a real thing. Even attendees, Mediaite reports, laugh as Trump gets made-up award trophy from lobbyists at White House event. And let me play more of this than I was originally going to, because this whole setting is like, I can't even think of the specific anecdote I'm thinking of, but you know, you've heard those stories or those movies or people have told the anecdote of, oh, our old relative sort of lost his mind, but he really loved working at an office. And so we set up a fake office for him with a phone that doesn't go anywhere and a Google Doc that he types in. He thinks that he's sending emails, and we kind of just let him go through the motions. That's what this feels like with Trump. They get a bunch of people wearing hard hats to award him the Undisputed Champion of Beautiful Clean Coal Award. It's just weird. Aside from the policy being incoherent and bad for our environment and bad for energy costs and bad for everything from the standpoint of logic. So here's the presentation.
Mr. President, on behalf of Michael Day, the chairman of the Washington
So these are coal lobbyists.
Coal Club and all the coal miners across our great country, I'd like to ask there's some executives and coal miners are going to join us on stage, and we are going to present you an award, sir.
Oh, that's great. Thank you very much. Thank you.
So podcast listeners, now he's bravely shaking people's hands as he is about to be awarded the very competitive prize that very few presidents have ever been awarded. And by few, I mean none, because it was just made up.
Thank you, fellas.
Just
Sir, to show
Just
our
sober.
appreciation, the trophy says the undisputed champion of beautiful, clean coal. Thank you, sir.
so even the crowd laughs, but then Trump's like, "Thank you. This is a big moment. Thank you very much." I just want to thank the Academy. I want to thank my mom. I want to thank Melania. Where's Melania? Peace, President, under the fire. And then here's Mike responded to this saying, I don't know this for a fact, but I think this is the first time in history that the current FIFA Peace Prize winner became the undisputed champion of coal. They're just making up prizes for him, and it works. You know that's what this is. Someone got in Trump's ear about how, the radical left Biden administration hurt us. In reality, we're just talking about pragmatic solutions to more effective and clean and cheap energy, which is why coal's been moved away from. But they got in his ear. It was really just a conspiracy against us, and they don't want you to unleash the power of coal. And then Trump was convinced. All you got to do is hand him, whether you're a foreign government, a company, or lobbyists, give them a prize. We saw Tim Apple or Tim Cook give Trump that gold-plated Apple thing. He's gotten crowns and trophies and golden this and that and planes. And then it works. He's the easiest person to manipulate, but then it actually turns into real action. This isn't just about the bizarre nature of the aesthetics. Trump orders the Pentagon to buy more coal-fired electricity. It's very incoherent. Now, this is not the only lobbyists that were at the White House recently. Carrie Lake has been trying to lobby the White House. Now, she works for the administration, but there's a story being reported on here. This is from Mediaite, I think, reporting on the Atlantic's original story. In October, she was spotted waiting in a White House lobby. Carrie Lake. Do you remember Carrie Lake? Here, there she is. Hoping to see Trump, according to two GOP operatives. Carrie has been here for hours. She's going to run, and she's asking for the endorsement. What is she running for? Congress. So she ran for governor, lost, never admitted defeat. Ran for Senate, lost, never admitted defeat. Now she wants to run for Congress. And according to this reporting, Trump did not agree to give her the endorsement. She's lost too many times. And one of the things you saw yesterday, the White House freaked out about, was that there was a better jobs report from January. The U.S. adds 130,000 jobs in January, starting year off on stronger footing. Now, especially compared to the months before that and the job market really struggling since Trump took over after robust job gains under Biden, this is a better sign. But Caroline Leavitt, Trump, his spokespeople in the media, all pretended like this was the greatest accomplishment ever. And so Jesse responded, Biden averaged 336,000 jobs per month over his term, and Trump claimed the economy was terrible. Even the last 2 years after the big pandemic rebound, you had like 200,000+ jobs average per month under Biden. And they said that was terrible and that we had gone to hell. But now 1 month after contraction months, after job loss months of 130,000 jobs gained is a huge accomplishment in MAGA world. And even some people who are supposed to be more-ish serious media pundits played along with that.
Rickster, what were you going to say?
I'm going to say that nobody's going to rain on my parade, and these numbers are what they are, and 50K. I made this hat 2 months ago. And the reason I made it is for exactly a day like today. All these naysayers steeped in politics continue to be negative. That's okay, because 50K says you've all been wrong. You keep from going in the water even though it's very hot outside.
Okay, So let's just put this in perspective, everybody. In 2023, we saw 3 million jobs added under Biden. In 2024, we saw 2.2 million jobs added under Biden. In Trump's first year in 2025, as a direct impact of his mostly tariff policies, he only saw 181,000 jobs added net. 181,000 in the whole year, compared to the year before that being 2.2 million net jobs added. And it was horrible under Biden and now great under Trump, is what they want us to believe. Now you want to zoom out even further to all the people who still want to believe Republicans are better for the economy. Look at the total jobs created by party from 1989 to 2026. I'll just put it this way, podcast listeners. Picture a ginormous blue bar and a barely visible tiny red bar. 50 million jobs under Democrats and 1.4 million under Republicans.
Guess what?
That's right, Joe. And then the other thing that you'll hear from Trump defenders is that, okay, maybe the numbers, if you just look at them big picture, are bad over decades or even just Trump v. Biden or whatever. But that's because what Trump's doing here is creating jobs for native-born Americans, but just taking away the jobs for immigrants. So that's really what's skewing the numbers. No. Micah says new data as mass deportations have gone on. Native-born unemployment has surged. It turns out mass deportations actually don't create jobs for Americans. We were lied to. And you can see the figures there. Trump takes over and the native-born unemployment rate surges upward. Now, still historically relatively low. He inherited relatively low unemployment, true. But it is not the story they're telling of, well, okay, yeah, if you take away all the jobs that Biden gave to all the immigrants, then it'll look bad. But if you only count the native born, not even true. Not even true. And then to once again remind you of the fiscal responsibility lie with Republicans. Okay, well, maybe the reason that we've seen a softening of the job market is because Trump is just tightening our belt and he's getting our debt under control. And Axios, the CBO, estimates that the One Big Beautiful Bill Act, the Trump administration's signature tax law passed last year, will widen cumulative deficits by $4.7 trillion over the next decade. So he's making our debt problem worse while harming the economy compared to what it would have been before. Yes, still by certain metrics, it's a pretty strong economy because he was handed by those certain metrics a pretty strong economy. But in the sensitive to his actions areas, we've seen negative impacts. And even on something that Republicans pretended like they cared about in the past, being debt and deficits, he's horrible for. But I'll remind you once again that over the last multiple decades, this has been a trend as well. Yes, the economy has performed better under Democrats, but also Democrats have been better on the deficit issue. And it stands to reason we wouldn't see the most rational economic policy from an administration who has a commerce secretary who publicly admits he doesn't know anything about the core economic action that his boss is using.
By the way, if you thought I knew the first thing about tariffs before I worked for him, that would be false. I thought when I learned this sophomore in college was, I don't know, sounded fine to me.
Why would you admit that, first of all? Trump's whole thing is tariffs, and his commerce secretary is admitting he doesn't know anything about them, or he didn't before taking over, and now he's just learned everything from Trump. Well, Trump doesn't know anything about tariffs, so that's a bad person to learn from. And these are the reasons that the midterms aren't looking great for Republicans. You wouldn't hear that, though, if you listen to Speaker of the House Mike Johnson.
They really do, and that's one of the reasons we're so confident about this midterm election coming up. We are going to make history. We're going to grow the majority for the Republican Party because we have an extraordinary record to run on, and they have an outrageous record that they have produced with their votes. And we're going to continue to put them on record, Sean, and make sure that people know exactly what they stand for. This is an insurgent left.
So he's just kind of doing wishful thinking. We know behind the scenes they're panicking. And one of the signs that I think is undeniable is I'm not gonna disagree that Republicans did a pretty dang good job of driving Biden's approval rating into the ground. And Biden left office with a really low approval rating. And he even had such bad approval numbers that he went into early retirement. He dropped out of the presidential race. So you'd think, well, maybe some Americans don't love the Trump agenda. If Americans just elected Trump a year ago, surely the guy that they kicked out of the White House right before there then would not already be more popular again than Trump. But as we looked at before, I think one of the most disturbing, if you're a Trump supporter, metrics is that now I think we have like 3 different polls that demonstrate Americans are going, actually, I think Biden was doing a better job than Trump. Now, I won't go into the rant that I did before about how that makes me want to scream until my entire throat falls apart because you just did this, America, and you already regretful? Come on. You didn't have to do this. Not going to go anymore. But that's going to induce a lot of panic when Republicans spent 4 years, for some reasons that had more justification, for many reasons that were completely made up, pounding, bashing Biden to the ground, where Americans were like, this guy sucks, based on the polling. And already public views on this have flipped on the emblem of Democratic Party unpopularity because of maybe billions of dollars of efforts to depict it that way, and because of real F-ups. And already he's more popular again than Trump. Now, does that mean Biden should run 2028? No, maybe. No.
Life, liberty, pursuit of happiness.
Every time I bring that up, that makes me laugh so hard just picturing Biden in an interview and someone says, so Mr. President, are you considering running again? And then he puts on his Ray-Bans. He's like, not so fast, Jack. And then he goes back into it.
They totally beat Medicare.
And then if, no, that's not happening, obviously, but it's a very emblematic data point, just given what the 2024 election was about. It really was, even though it was Kamala, it was still very much a Biden brand versus Trump. And for that to have flipped already is a pretty powerful sign. And I got to be honest, there's a Georgia gubernatorial candidate, Rick Jackson, who's a healthcare executive, very popular right now, and a billionaire. And I don't know if Republicans' issues electorally are going to be solved with campaign ads like this.
The Trump-supporting, straight-talking billionaire businessman with nothing to lose.
No more free rides for people who refuse to work. You want to sit on your butt, binge watch Netflix, and scarf down Cheetos? Do it with your own money. We'll ban DEI insanity and criminalize reverse discrimination. And if we can't cut the state income tax in half and freeze property taxes, I won't run again. I'm Rick Jackson.
What a weird time when billionaires are richer than ever. Income inequality is out of control. And we have a billionaire president ripping away wealth from the very bottom and handing it to the very top. It's kind of a weird time to do the whole, no more handouts. Stop sitting on your butt, poor person. No more free. Oh, you want health care? I've made a career out of denying your claims. Then I think another thing is Trump has a lot of inner party retribution he's getting out, and anyone who he feels crossed by in this first year, he wants to punish electorally. And that could end up backfiring where his efforts, instead of being fully behind helping the Republican Party in the midterms, a lot of them are going to be about trying to get Republicans he doesn't like to lose to other Republicans. And that's showing up definitely with Thomas Massie, who, for all of my disagreements with him on a bunch of issues, has been a warrior on the issue of the Epstein files, and that's why Trump hates him. And Trump posted this long attack, Truth Social post against Thomas Massie. And as you're seeing the block of text here, you're thinking, please, Luke, don't read that whole thing, does. Well, Thomas Massie had the same reaction. He said, I ain't reading all that. I'm happy for you, though. Or sorry that happened, which is the iconic. I don't really want to read that. And Laura Loomer, had a reporter or something go up to Thomas Massie and be like, why are you attacking Trump? Which, if you think screaming at Thomas Massie for trying to advocate for child sex trafficking victims when the president has been covering up the documentation related to that makes you look good, you missed a lot of something.
No, I didn't see him on that.
Congressman Massie, in the last week, you would have called on President Trump to apologize to Barack Obama, and you're standing here with Congressman Khanna at a press conference implying that the president is a pedophile protector. Are you hating on Trump to try out for CNN? I didn't crack out.
Blockers you're wearing off.
Oh, really? Congressman, you need
Savage. That's brutal. Thomas Massie, Congressman Massie, are you saying Trump's a pedophile protector? It's like, yeah, I mean, very nearly objectively, that's what's happening. And Thomas Massie goes, I think your puberty blockers are wearing off. Ow. Now, in a time like this, as we discuss the economy, and throughout today's show, and in general, we talk plenty about the damage that Trump is doing to our democratic institutions, to our republic, and how some of it starts to feel irreversible if we don't quickly reverse this trend. One thing that is important is that it's not just the MAGA crazies that get called out whenever they say destructive things to the future of our country. I think it's important that people who, I guess, in general, you put on the same side hold each other accountable, even though, as you're about to see, Hassan Piker in this clip does not seem to be a part of the movement I'm a part of, because he refuses to say he would prefer Newsom over Vance in 2028.
Disappointed in
Who
Gavin
do you vote
Newsom.
for, J.D. Vance or Gavin Newsom?
Well, I'd have to vote for Gavin Newsom.
Me
of
too.
course, 100%.
I wouldn't blink. What about you, Hassan?
I'd probably vote third party.
You would?
Oh yeah. I mean, at that point, it doesn't even matter. Like, because my policy on this is the same as like my refusal to endorse Kamala Harris. The reason why I did not endorse Kamala Harris was because she did things that were not only unproductive but also unconscionable. And I still stand on that. I still talk about it all the time because people constantly bring it up. They're like, you didn't sufficiently like promote Kamala Harris. You're the reason why she lost. And I'm like, I am incapable. There is no singular force in this country that is capable of making or breaking an election. And if that was real, then it is the most idiotic thing not to listen to my demands. But everybody knows that that's not real, right?
So let's not do the whole one person wouldn't make the difference thing, especially when you're an extremely influential public figure. And it's not about you voting for Kamala or advocating for Kamala more would have single-handedly made the difference. What we're talking about is a principle and collective advocacy. I do think if a lot of people like you had taken a different approach, maybe the election could have gone a different way, but we don't know. And I am often a big fan of Jennifer Welch, but I was kind of disappointed that she didn't push back at all. Like, to me, it's such a crazy privileged position and out of touch position to be like, well, I don't like Newsom for this reason or that reason, which plenty of reasons to criticize him. And so I'd probably just vote third party, because who really cares if you're in Hassan's position? Life's going to be fine either way. But our advocacy is usually not for only our own well-being. Like myself, Hassan, happen to be in extremely lucky positions in our life because of being able to do this. And with the resources that come with it, with the income that comes with it, and just with the strength of an audience, there's a certain level of insulation and protection against any administration. But it's the people on the ground. It's the people who are losing their health care. It's the people who are being targeted. It's the people being shot who need us to care about the outcome of a future election, even if the candidate who's far better than the Republican side is very flawed. And to not see how the material conditions and people's lives would be so significantly different under any generic Democrat compared to a Republican, I think is insane. I think it's insane. And it kind of pisses me off. Now, a lot of people say, well, you can't just give away your vote that easily. You got to get the Democrat to come try to earn it. Totally fair. That's not what he said there. He said, I'd vote third party. He didn't say, I'm not going to commit to voting to Newsom yet because I want him to have to earn my vote. I want him to have to earn like the far left's vote. That's not what he said. He just said, oh, I'd probably vote third party. Because at that point, what's the difference? Which is only something you say, in my view, when none of this really impacts you. When millions of people losing their Medicaid is a thing you'll talk about. It's a talking point you'll utilize, but it's not actually going to impact you because you could get whatever healthcare you want. And you could move away. I've heard him say something to that effect. He could move away and live in a bougie place somewhere else. And these sorts of voices within, I guess you could say we're kind of a part of the same anti-MAGA movement, that huge umbrella, are really destructive. Because I'm perfectly fine with it's so far before the election. It's a while. I'm not just going to go, yeah, I'll vote for whoever the Democrat is, whatever, no matter what they do. I understand, especially as a public figure, if you wanted to say, I'm waiting to endorse because I want to see them prove to me they're going to be not just the correct candidate to win, but to actually govern and make real progress. That's fine. But to just go, oh, if it was them two, I'd probably just vote third party, is insane. And rants like this, too, are kind of insane. And this is all a criticism from the place of love, but it scares me, someone with his audience, to so casually dismiss the fundamental differences between the current MAGA Republican Party and a candidate like Newsom, however flawed he'd be.
You're yelling at one of the few people that does give a fuck about trans people in general, okay? That's all you're doing. Democrats don't give a fuck about you. They would literally shoot you in the fucking head if it meant that they would be able to secure additional electoral wins. Shut the fuck up.
That's fun. A fun vibe. So what he was responding to is Ari saying, actual trans person here, Gavin Newsom, made a comment about trans athletes that I don't agree with, but California is still one of the best places to be trans in the country. See the difference? You don't care about what happens to us, so stop acting like you speak for us. In response to Hassan saying, shit libs who don't care about losing to Trump now want you to obey in advance to the hypothetical establishment candidate, while there isn't even a guarantee there will be an election 2 years from now. And then using marginalized people as a cudgel as Gavin threw trans people under the bus. So then that's what she was responding to. You don't have to obey in advance or whatever. I just feel like it's the logic of it. Like, he also wasn't really advocating for Kamala. I don't know what he ended up doing. And to reference that we might not have an election in 2 years, but then to not be clear morally, factually, that any candidate who has basic respect for our democratic system would be far superior to what the MAGA Republican Party has become, just feels dishonest. And a lot of people, I think, treat politics like an opportunity to stroke themselves, like to stroke their own morals. They make themselves feel so good about how perfectly pure their politics are that no one's ever good enough for them. When politics should just be about how you implement the best outcomes for people. And I'm getting a little sick of this. Oh, it'll get me attention and I'm different, I'm edgy if I'm constantly going, no, they're practically the same. Because that's ridiculous. Say whatever you want about Newsom on this issue or that issue. If your brain can't comprehend that there's just miles and miles and miles and miles and miles, a world in between a Vance and a Newsom, I don't really know what's going on with your brain then. And I don't know if you take this seriously enough. I think maybe you just see it as a performance, which bums me out. But again, I say that with love.